Hey everyone, Emeka here for my self-publishing blueprint, and this is part 2 with one of my students, Ollie, who's been consistently making over $10,000 every single month solely from Kindle publishing. And if you haven't had a chance to check out part 1, please click the link in the description. Go watch part 1 first. What we did is we dove through his first few months, his first few books, and we just talked about the different levels he was at, the mindset he was going through, some of the struggles that he was facing, what he was learning on his journey from making, I think it was like 20 odd bucks your first month, up to $13,000 in royalties paid out last month. Part 2, today, what we're going through is the mechanics, the technical details of what worked, what didn't work, what can you avoid, and what should you be doing right now, today, with your Kindle publishing business to scale it up to the level that Ollie has reached. Ollie, man, welcome back to the channel.
Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. All right. Okay, man. So let's. This is technical, nitty-gritty stuff. All right. Let's dive into it. So it took you your first 1, 2, 3 books with my self-publishing blueprint, they weren't clicking. Book 4, all of a sudden clicked. What was the difference between books 1 to 3 and book 4? Why did book 4 take off and the other 3 didn't?
Book 4 took off because in the niche itself, I saw the problems that people were having and I saw what people actually wanted to know, as opposed to just saying, okay, this book's about weight loss. Let's do a beginner's guide to weight loss, which is essentially, 10,000 words of Wikipedia, which is just going to piss people off and it's not going to sell. So actually identifying problems that people in that niche are having, and just as important, understanding how people talk about their problems.
Mm-hmm. Like, what do you mean? Can you go into that?
So, like, actually using the language that people would use when discussing their problems, actually appearing relatable when you're writing your book description. Like, number one, like, don't let the writing companies write your book descriptions for you. You're not going to get a good book description.
Okay.
And being able to talk about people's problems in the language that they would use, not only does that give them the impression that you know what you're talking about, it makes them actually like you and it makes them bond with you. Only have,
go ahead.
Sorry, you only have 400 words to actually, or 500 words to do that. So, you have to sort of make an impression.
So when you're talking about the language, right, using the same language. So let's just use weight loss as an example. How do you tell the writing company or your freelancer, or if you're writing it yourself, how do you use that language? How do you get your book like that? Is it your actual book or the description that you want the language?
The description is the part where the language matters more.
Okay.
But the book itself has to actually show some empathy with people's problems. You can't just write an academic report to these people. Like, no one wants to hear about that. Mm-hmm. You have to see, like, look at Amazon. Look at how these people actually talk. Like, look at other book reviews. Mm-hmm. Look at the problems these people have, and especially the 1-star reviews as well.
Yeah.
Like, this book was terrible because it didn't talk about this. Like, that's something you can capitalize on. Tell your writing company to write about that.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like it's just doing a little bit more research before you get your book written, right? Just finding out, what are the problems with the current books in the market and making sure your book is addressing that.
Some level. Like, I think it's more important to do that additional research, like, at the beginning, because you're not going to get one book idea out of it. Potentially, you're going to get 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
So if you look at time spent per book, it's really not that much time at all. Because, like, the problems in a certain niche don't change.
Right.
But if you spend 2, 3 hours researching, you might get 5 book ideas. That's really not a lot of time per book at all.
What are some of your tips that you use for doing your book research or your keyword research?
The biggest one would be go off of Amazon. Like, don't solely rely on Amazon customers.
Okay.
So there's probably 5 or 6 other resources that I would personally use, depending on the niche.
What are some of them?
YouTube videos.
Okay.
There are so many YouTube videos of people just talking about their problems. And these are real people. Like, these are people using words they would use.
So the same way you would type in your keyword or your search term into Amazon, you would just do the same thing into YouTube to find the same thing.
Same thing on YouTube. Weight loss story, weight loss transformation.
Oh, wow. That's good. So it's really just taking that extra time to do more proper research to make sure that, and once again, this is really heavily focused on getting that description down in that same language that the person's using, because the description is like that last wall before they hit buy, right?
Yeah, like the description is by far and away the thing people should just spend more time on that they don't already do. Like for a lot of publishers, including me, like at the start, the description was a complete afterthought. Like I still have one of my books up that I just use the writing company description. Because I thought like, oh yeah, this will work.
Right.
You will learn what is weight loss.
Yeah.
Like you have to spend more time on the description. You just have to.
What happened with books? So from going from, I can't remember how many books it was that it took you to about $8,000 a month around November or so. What changed with those books? Were you just, how many did you publish? But 2, did you start seeing patterns on what was working and what wasn't working as you were publishing more books?
Yes. Like November, I had 12 books out, I want to say. And then December, I had 19. And so December, I hit 8,500. And the biggest thing that started working was that just seeing the problems that people had and then presenting your book in a different way than all the other books in your niche. Because in December, I went into some quite competitive niches and my books did well just because I presented the information in a different way, in a unique way they hadn't seen before, but a way that I knew they wanted it to be seen.
So it's just thinking outside the box and doing the research. Yeah.
Like I said in the last video, don't be the 51st beginner's guide.
Right. Yeah. No, that right there was key.
Like that. So that's the number one piece of information I would give to new publishers is just don't be the same as everyone else.
Don't be the same as everyone else. Okay. And then scaling up from 8 to 13,000. How many more books did that take you? And then have you noticed how to increase the profitability per book? Are you doing anything different with those?
So 13,000 was with 31 books.
Okay.
So between January and March, I published 12 books. And then by the end of March, that was 31 books. And that was 13,000. And in terms of profitability, just having everything on CreateSpace and ACX.
Okay.
Like that's the easiest thing. And like, not being afraid to have high paperback prices.
What's the highest you have yours?
The highest single price book I have right now, which still sells, is the high 40s.
Damn, really, huh?
Yeah, and that still sells. Still makes sales.
Mine's $33 or $32, and I'm like going into the $30 mark. I was iffy.
People will pay for good information. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
they're not going to pay for the 51st Beginner's Guide to Weight Loss. But
right.
if
Yeah,
you
I
find
guess
the book
more
solves the problem,
you can charge
they'll
more.
pay for it.
Right. That's really good. What? Okay. So, are there any other tips that you want to give about those specific books, like things that you learned? It sounds like you spent a lot of time getting your description right in the language that your readers are going to be able to understand and relate to.
I would say another big thing is too many publishers just give away the book content.
What do you mean by that?
They tell the reader exactly what's in the book. There's no suspense. There's no excitement. There's no, oh, I wonder what's in here. They just say to people, okay, you're going to learn a beginner's guide to weight loss, and we have a 7-day diet plan. Instead of actually presenting the information in a way that evokes some curiosity, it actually makes the person want to buy the book, as opposed to looking at your description and going, okay, I can just Google that.
So give them some more curiosity in your description.
Absolutely. Curiosity is one of the biggest reasons people buy things.
Man, that's golden. That's golden. Hey, so you've been around for a little while. I'm sure you've, seen lots of videos and everything on Kindle publishing and earning 10K plus a month. There's no question earning $10,000 a month with Kindle publishing was much easier back in the day, back in 2014, 13, 12, when Amazon was brand new, when there was no KDP Select, when loopholes were around and all of that crap. What are some tips people can use to scale their business up to 10K plus a month in 2018 that work, that are legitimate ways?
The biggest one would be using bundles.
Okay.
To test out the profitability of new niches and new keywords.
Can you explain what that is for anybody who hasn't watched every single one of my videos on YouTube yet?
So you are legally allowed, I say legally, it's probably not a legal problem. You are legitimately allowed on Amazon to bundle books together and present them as a new book. If you tell the customer that there's 2 quote unquote books inside this new book. So what you can do is, if you have 2 books with quite generic information inside, you can then sell that book in a new market and test out how that new market responds to your book's information. And that saves you tons of money because you don't have to get a new book written.
So in that market, it's still related to the content in the book, right?
Yes.
We're not.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be related because we're not taking like something like I don't want to talk about a topic because I don't want to I don't want to give away stuff, but we can't take.
We're not selling weight loss guides to the make money niche like that.
There you go. Right. So it has to be, okay, that makes sense. It
has to be congruent.
And so you basically just bundle those 2 books together. Now you have a longer paperback book, which means you can increase your price. Right?
Yeah, having a big paperback book, like if you're a customer and you receive like a big thick 300-page book, your initial reaction is, cool, like I've got my money's worth here. Whereas if you receive back in the day, people published a lot of 5,000 word books. If you receive a 35-word pamphlet, even if you pay $2, you're going to be annoyed.
Yeah, because you should have got it for free. It's a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's a big psychological reaction just having a thick book.
Right. What are some of what's one of your highest bundles priced at?
I have some in the 30s. I have one in the 40s actually.
One in the 40s as well. Okay. No, that's cool. Okay, so let's shift gears and let's talk about something that you are super passionate about, and that's community. Okay. one of the things that when I first started, when I started my self-publishing blueprint, I wanted to ensure that it was a place that was people could come in, ask questions, get answers. There was no stupid questions. Nobody was being ridiculed. So the Facebook community, whether it's the private one that you get with the course or the free one, both those links are in the description there if you're not already in them. I just wanted a place that was open where people could come and learn and talk about it, because I noticed a lot of them that I was in, hopefully this dog that's yapping its gums is not being picked up too loud on the video, but it's driving me freaking nuts. And it shut up. So I came from, I'll just say it because that's what I say on the channel. I came from K Money Mastery, right? And the Facebook group was decent once I finally joined it, right? Because I had to pay extra to get in there, right? And
right, yeah, you have to pay extra.
I'd pay extra to get in there, but I got in there, and then all of a sudden I was part of a community, and I was able to ask questions. Now the questions were being answered by a lot of newbies, and as I was in there, it was always just recycled with newbies because successful publishers just didn't waste their time in there. Or it was somebody in there trying to sell me $2,000 coaching. And that was a constant complaint I heard about people just trying to push their coaching. So the group kind of wasn't as strong as I thought it should have been, right? But what's your experience with that, and how important has a community played a role in your publishing career?
It is absolutely invaluable to just have like a group of people you can go to and like a safe space. You can ask a question, no matter how stupid you think the question might be, because we're all beginners once, and like have people answer that question without the BS, without the sarcasm. Just a group of good, honest, like positive mindset people. Because I was in another course before. We'll call it the other publishing course. For those of you who've been around a while.
For those of you who are wondering, it was Luca's course, Self-Publishing Revolution. I prefer the all right. Like I said, it's my channel. I take any heat, but I think people in this day, I gave the same thing. Like it's like wrestling. Right? We all know wrestling's fake. They can't, professional wrestling, WWE, right? You can't pretend anymore.
Of course.
So, my daughter does not know it's fake yet. Okay, she's living the good life still. Okay,
still real to me.
It's still real to me. So I hate when people get on here and they're like, oh yeah, that course or this course. Well, right now there's probably somebody watching this video and they're like, well, what course should I buy? Well, here's what happens when you buy different ones. So talk about what happened with that group.
So, the course material is fine, but the Facebook group itself, like really nothing happens. Like there's maybe like one question a week. The activity level is pretty much non-existent. And so like if I was a new publisher going into there and like, asking a question, having a bit of dead air for like a day, or like no one answers it at all, like that's kind of disheartening.
It is.
Whereas like the Blueprint group, like any question that gets answered within like 3 hours, like by the members or by like you yourself. And like you're active in the group as well, which is a big thing.
Well, I'm still publishing books like every single week, or month. I'm still putting out books. So I'm in it with all of you, like we're part of a mastermind group and I'm in it with you guys. Like I'm right there in the trenches,
In the trenches, man.
Right? Like I'm not, this is what I do. I still enjoy doing it. So that's cool, man.
I would say like to anyone like who's on the fence, like the Facebook group alone is worth the money. Like straight up.
Cool. Hey, and you know what? Now I'm wondering, what's the difference between the private Facebook group and the free Facebook group? Because there's both.
The private
You're
Facebook group just has like, yeah, I'm in both.
Yeah.
I'd just say the free Facebook group is like more for like if you're just starting out and you haven't even published a book yet,
Mm-hmm.
then the free Facebook group, would be useful. But if you actually want to push further,
take it to the next level type of thing,
then like, yeah, you do need the private one.
You get all this noise over in Vietnam as well?
Oh yeah, but luckily my apartment is at the back of the building, so I don't get like all the constant road noise and honking.
Jeez, I have no idea what that is, but I'll try to take that out in the post-production. But that's cool, man. That's cool. All right, let's start wrapping things up. What are some last few tips you can give anybody they're thinking about getting into publishing, or they've published their first couple books, but they haven't quite found any success yet? Can you talk to them and just give them your best advice?
Don't be afraid to be different. Like, don't be afraid to publish a book that no one else has published yet. Obviously, it has to be in a profitable keyword, but like approach it from a completely different angle. Like, appeal to a certain problem that no one else has appealed to yet. Like, just don't be the 50th beginner's guide.
I love that thought. Don't be the 50th beginner's guide. Like, I love that.
So important.
Love that. Man, thank you so much for taking some time over these 2 interviews, sharing your knowledge, and once again, the support and the questions and the answers that you give and you provide, the value that you're giving inside the Facebook groups. I can't say thank you enough times for that, because it really means a lot to me, and I'm sure to all of you who are in the groups. I'm sure Ollie's answered a few of your questions multiple times. So thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.